where is the closest CPA? They are willing to work with a chartered accountant in India, provided he is able to give them good quality of work, is able to communicate in good English, and most importantly, is able to give them value for every dollar that they are spending. And that has happened, my dear colleagues. I can share with you, there are at least 5 to 7 firms that one is aware of in just the city of Ahmedabad, where more than 1,000, 1,500 or 2,000 people are working 24/7 in different shifts and providing services to geographies as diverse and starting from the extreme east, that is New Zealand, Australia, then coming inwards to some parts of Southeast Asia, providing India, sitting in India, providing outsourcing services to different accounting users across the country, to the Middle East, to UK, to Africa, to North America, that is US and Canada. And therefore, the office is working 24/7, 365. There are firms which are doing it extremely aggressively. And I'm sure in a city like Pune, where software technology has taken and made a base, where you have such a great IT infrastructure already available, there will be many, many firms which will be able to do this and provide this kind of services. So this is the case that is made out in terms of the growth of export services, the growth that one has witnessed, not just in accounting, but in all fields such as software, hospitality, or other service sectors which exist. Everywhere, this kind of growth is witnessed, and therefore the opportunity surely exists, not just theoretically, but also practically, as one can see in front of you on the different charts and presentations that are available. So then let's try and dig deep and understand what is, first of all, the meaning of accountancy services and what has been defined in the WTO. Well, what it includes, it says it includes the accounting, auditing, and bookkeeping services. And the scope has been defined by the United Nations CPC 862. This is where all countries have agreed that when we talk about accountancy service, chartered accountants, certified public accountants. So accounting service, what does it mean? It means accounting, it includes auditing, and it includes bookkeeping services. Mind well, auditing doesn't mean the license to audit. It only means ancillary or support-based services to audit. Bookkeeping, we are all aware of how bookkeeping works. We will discuss in detail how the accounting from the foreign jurisdiction is currently happening. The market access negotiations on accountancy, well, the first round of this went back in Uruguay, and currently all these accountancy services are part of new negotiations which began in January 2000. So the governments have also realized that there has to be an understanding on what is the definition of accountancy services, which has been agreed by all the countries. And as you are aware, each country has opened its door, who are signatories to WTO, to such services such as accounting and bookkeeping providing services. Even assisting in audit services has been allowed. So therefore, if you are getting associated with a firm or with firms in UK, for example, and providing them outsourcing services, it is within the legal availability rights of the country of India to do it. And as citizens of this country, you can pursue and follow it. What is not allowed currently is, for example, as a chartered accountant, I cannot go and sign a listed company in the US. You cannot sign the balance sheet of Apple because the country there requires you to be a member of the AICPA, have a license from the state in which you are signing. So for example, the audit is done in New York and the company is listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Then the New York state office of the AICPA issues them a license, and only those licensed practitioners are allowed to sign. Similar to where in India, we do not allow, for example, an AICPA qualified certified public accountant to certify financial years. So that is regulated under the market, but accounting is allowed and you are able to work on it under the WTO regime. So then what are the barriers to trade in accountancy services that have been noted by the WTO? Well, there are, and it's honestly very limited commitments that have been made. The qualification is not recognized. So the biggest challenge which is being faced currently is, though you may be extremely efficient, for example, in not only your accounting standards, but in IFRS, which is the Ind AS. So you have excellent knowledge of Ind AS and therefore are able to prepare IFRS financial statements. Your audit standards, which you have learned within the institute, are at par with the international standards on auditing, that is ISAs. We have SAs here. They are absolutely in line with the standards on auditing. There are a few dozen changes that we have made specifically. For example, SA 600 is very different, or other standards where we have deviated from the international standards. But by and large, you still follow the same standards on accounting, on auditing, and even the ethical standards. That is the code of ethics that the institute has implemented is largely based on the 1998 code of ethics of ISBA, that is the International Ethical Standards Board. So your accounting is the same as it would be in majority part of the world. Let's leave aside US because there is a US GAAP constraint there, but all other countries, South Africa, UK, Australia, all of these are on IFRS. So your accounting is same. Your auditing standards, that is the SAs, are based on ISAs, which is same everywhere, US, UK, Africa, Middle East, Southeast, or Australia, New Zealand, the same standards. And we have the internationally benchmarked code of ethics. Yet we are not recognized because countries want to restrict that for their own jurisdiction, and which is fair. Each country has this right, but important for us to understand that our qualifications are not recognized for statutory signatory purposes, but it transcends the requirement of signing. There are various firms which are available in these countries who will obviously want to do the final level of review and then finally place his or her signature on the financial statements. Let's say signing in Australia, the CPA in Australia will sign it, or the chartered accountant in Australia will sign it. But the all work before completion and sign off, that is reviewing work papers, doing the in-depth audit, making adjustment entries and proposing them to the client, reviewing all of this, all that can be done by us as chartered accountants, and that doesn't need any formal recognition. You can work with the firm there and make it reach to a stage where it is only pending a final review and sign off by that person. What are the other barriers then? Besides qualification not being recognized, there are regional blocks which internally amongst themselves will recognize each other's degree, but internationally common degrees are not acceptable. Or else, after qualifying chartered accountancy, our CAs could easily go to any country in the world and start working on a practice domain. But that is not possible. One jurisdiction which has been a great opportunity for our chartered accountants, and where one, if you have get the opportunity to go, you will see that the entire accounting domain is largely controlled by our Indian chartered accountants, is the entire area of Middle East, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Muscat, Bahrain, Oman, and all of these places, because there is no local major accounting PAO, that is the public accounting organization. Because of that, our chartered accountants have been able to go there, and in fact, they have established the accountancy profession there. But besides the Middle East, yes, we are not given that much recognition elsewhere because of, like I said, not being recognized and regional blocks being present. There are other barriers which are not in the control. Let's say there is a chartered accountant in Pune who's extremely well versed in IFRS, that is Ind AS. And then if you remove the 810 carve-outs, it is effectively the same IFRS. So excellent in IFRS, excellent in audit standards, excellent in the audit technology and using technology to leverage the timing and ensure that the quality of audit is being done. You have all the skill sets. But if you want to, let's say, get hired and there's a firm in the US who's willing to take you up, you will probably not get the visa. And therefore, that becomes a non-professional barrier. You have all the sets of qualifications available with you. You have all the knowledge with you. But non-professional body barriers also exist in the form of visa requirements that you are not able to go to these countries and perform these functions from there. And this also leads to a challenge. What are then the specific impediments to trade in accountancy services? Like we discussed, nationality requirements. Some countries, for example, in the Middle East, In Dubai now, if you want to sign a financial, they will say, no, we want a local national to be a partner in the firm. So you will require an Arabi to sign the financials. Entire work partnership can be done by our Indian chartered accountants, but nationality requirement is there. This is also an impediment, but our chartered accountants have found successful ways to work with them and not make them as impediment, but ensure that we jointly grow. The Arab partner also is there, and our Indian chartered accountants who are doing this work in all these countries, they are able to prosper. But yes, it's an impediment. Some countries impose a residency requirement that you must majorly live in this country for you to be able to provide accountancy services. That also becomes challenge. Professional certification, it may or may not be recognized. There are entry restrictions in certain countries which are very rigid, and that also acts as an impediment. Some countries have very strong code of ethics and guidelines, which are imposed by their POs, which make limitations on or restrictions on solicitation. So you cannot simply go and approach the firms or the clients there. All of this leads to challenges in our chartered accountants being able to provide services and capture in the global market. There are also, for example, restrictions on business structures. If I ask anyone in the audience, what is an LLP? Immediately the answer will come, limited liability partnership. What is a PVT LTD? Well, it's a private limited company. If I ask you a question, what is an OPC? Maybe not everybody, but 90% may know it's a one-person company. But if the question changes, what is an LLC? Maybe the answer will be 50%. It's a limited liability corporation. Now, if I ask what is an S Corp, the answer will probably come down to 20%. What is a C Corp? Maybe again 10 to 20%. What is an INC or an incorporated? Well, these are all different structures of entities, for example, in the US. Similarly, in other jurisdictions, there are other PTE LTD, which works in Singapore, a PLC, which works in the UK. How many of us are aware of these different structures? The C Corp, the S Corp, the LLC, the PTE LTD. All of these are different entity structures in different jurisdictions. And therefore, what one has to learn is not just accounting, auditing, and ethical standards, which, of course, for especially the newly qualified chartered accountants, they know the Ind AS and they know IFRS, they know the ISAs and the SAs, they know the revised code of ethics. Even old chartered accountants can learn these, because now if you're doing listed companies, you are doing it on Ind AS. The question is, how well versed are you with these business structures? And I think that one has to be very clear and focused on, or else it becomes an impediment. Because, for example, you are to provide professional opportunities or look for professional opportunities in the UK. You are able to get some client online. In India today, what happens is, based on your website, somebody sends you an email and says, please incorporate my company. You know the process. You go to the MCA website, do the entire ROC filing, and in a few days, you are able to generate the company, charge your professional fees, pay the statutory amounts. But when somebody would have sent you an email and said, please incorporate an LLC for me in the US, that is where it becomes an impediment, because we are not aware of whether you should do a LLC or whether you can actually incorporate an LLC, or you should do an S Corp or C Corp. What will be the taxation? Will there be withholding tax? Will there be a dividend distribution tax for all the profits that get accumulated in those countries? Those questions, because one is not aware of, it becomes a restriction. But yes, one can overcome these. And once you do, then the entire world becomes your market. And instead of incorporating a company for a professional fee of 10,000, 15,000, 25,000, or maybe 50,000, you can incorporate foreign companies for a far larger fee if you know the right kind of structure and are able to advise the clients in this manner. So very important impediment today, but can be converted into a challenge, are the business structures. So then the question that one always gets asked is, what is it that the government or the ICAI is doing to ensure that our chartered accountants can excel in the area of professional opportunity abroad, can have export of services, and ensure that they are also relevant in this accountancy market? Well, for that, the first and foremost initiative that I would like to bring to your attention is that of the champion sector. The government has identified champion sectors, different areas where the government feels the export of services can be increased. And with the increase in the global trade, it is a natural corollary that opportunities for chartered accountants through professional practice. That means sitting here and providing services there, but you are still in practice. In practice, going to different jurisdictions, bringing investments in India, providing that kind of consulting, or going there and working in those organizations and providing that services, still being in practice is there, or going in these countries and settling there for the purpose of gainful employment and being permanently shifted to this jurisdiction. All of these opportunities will increase. Even today, more than 10% of our membership resides abroad, and this number is only going to increase. These are people who are going there, working in maybe traditional accounting firms or in industry, earning in that foreign exchange and then repatriating all that money here. This is also a human service to the country, and therefore the institute has ensured that as a champion sector, when we are being recognized, we must take a lead. And therefore, you would have seen in the last year that the number of chapters that the ICAI had, the number of representative offices that we had has increased humongously. Earlier, we used to be in some 20 odd countries. Only last year, by the end of 2020, this number has increased to 43 countries. Our ICAI has representative offices or chapters in 43 countries and 64 cities of the world. What does that mean? That you do not start from a base zero. If you want to go looking for work, and let's say you've taken your briefcase and arrived in one of these jurisdictions, let's say London, let's say Sydney, let's say Melbourne, you are not starting from scratch. You have our local chapter there, which can very well help you, guide you. These questions of what is a PLC, what is an LLC, you can try and learn from our members there. You can attend the conferences that are being organized by our chapters and try and gain a better understanding of various structures that exist. So this is a direct involvement that the institute has done to ensure that, yes, our chapters are not just being able to bring investment to India. So advise clients in these jurisdictions how to come to India, not just provide the backup services, the CPE, the continuous learning to members who have migrated to these countries, but these chapters are also now playing a very important role in people who are looking to provide jurisdictional services to various other countries, sitting in India or going abroad. And that is why these chapters are organized. In fact, in the last year, there was a wonderful international seminar where all chapter representatives came. They explained about the various legal structures in their countries, and these were not restricted to the larger countries that I mentioned. Even South America, Argentina, Brazil, these countries, Africa, all European nations, which are major economies, we have chapters at all these locations, and representatives from these locations came and spoke about what are the various forms of organizations there, what are the opportunities there, and how Indian chartered accountants can work there. So this was one large initiative that I would want to discuss. That is the champion service. The second is in terms of our chapters, our representative offices, which are, behaving and acting as a hub and spoke and ensuring that our members are able to explore foreign markets. Besides this, two very important initiatives that the institute has done to ensure that your firm can be digitally competent and ensure that you are able to provide these services. As you can see in front of you, the digital competency maturity model was launched by the institute. The version 2.0 was launched in 2019, and in 2020 we did a fantastic live webcast which was attended by more than 75,000 people across the country and across the globe, where we discussed about the future opportunities, the future of firms, and also introduced the DCMM 2.0. This is a self-assessment tool To all of you who are chartered accountants, my request to you is there is a link given at the bottom on the Digital Learning Hub. Please go and do a self-evaluation. The Digital Competency Maturity Model 2.0 allows you to go and fill a set of questions. For example, does your firm have a website? Do you have your own corporate email? Let's say your firm's name is Aniket Talati and Company. So at A Talati Co. Is there a domain or you're using Gmail? There are points and marks for all of this, and there are various sections in which the entire questions have been divided. And then based on your answers, you will get a category in which you will lie, A, B, or C, and you will be given a guide, which is a implementation guide to DCMM 2.0 to ensure that if you are lacking in certain areas or certain sections, how you can improve in those sections, how you can implement changes in your office to improve your score, and then print that certificate. We are giving the opportunity to firms to print a DCMM 2.0 certificate. You can put it in your office. You can also make sure that you are able to convince the clients that you are going to pose, saying, please come and I will be able to do outsourcing services for you. Your DCMM 2.0 certification will ensure that you can say that, yes, I am graded, self-graded by myself, and my firm is totally capable. We have the security tools. We have all the technology in place to ensure that we are able to competently deliver on your work. And therefore, a very important initiative also of the ICI, besides the champion sector and besides the chapters that we discussed. Other initiatives very quickly that I can take you through. And again, why I'm sharing this with you, so that one is able to ensure that you are following what international firms and best practice are following. There are office management softwares that are being made available by the committee for members in practice. I've just listed here some names with which the committee of members has in practice has done MOUs. I am not endorsing or recommending any of these tools. Only for your reference purposes, I've given some names. My request to you is understand the concept or the theme behind this technology, not the brand or the company. You're free to use whatever you want, but there are initiatives. For example, on office management, the institute is tied up at almost zero or negligible cost. You can get a tool, use it, and you can then make sure you use it to display your capabilities, that my entire office is online. There is an office management tool, and every assignment, let's say if I get from UK, from Australia, I will have a tracking system who it gets assigned to, how many hours has he worked on it, and what is the turnaround time. All that is possible by using these softwares. There are various tools available for practice management, payroll, and other functions. We also have mobile-based tools and legal compliance tools. And these are all tools which you can use in your domestic practice. And this will ensure that when you're marketing and advertising yourself, and I'm using these words very carefully as a council member, you have advertisement guidelines, which the institute has approved. And if you're advertising yourself within these advertisement guidelines, within the code of ethics, then definitely you can market and advertise yourself and ensure that you are able to get these services internationally. The code of ethics that was revised last year has further relaxed social media and the code of ethics requirement so that our members can globally compete and seek this kind of work. So the institute, dear friends, is doing its bit in terms of assisting. But like I always say, you can only bring the camel to the well. It is for us to make sure that we make a dip into that water, sip. Some of us who are extremely adventurous make a dive into that well, swim and have a great blast and enjoy your time there. But the institute can only ensure that we give you the vision of having a champion sector. We have our chapters and representative offices in countries. We have the tools, the DCMM 2.0, the concept of virtual office that we can introduce. We give you the top of the market available tools to ensure that, yes, you have the top firewall security, the anti-spyware, the antivirus technology in your firm. So other firms can rely that, yes, this firm has the best security features. We can give you the office management tools. But finally, it is for us as members to implement these tools and then ensure how we are able to showcase the implementation of this in the international jurisdiction. With regards to the proposal for champion sector, what it entails, it not only entails, like I said, to have our chartered accountants provide services. There are other 4 major areas that this champion service talks about. One is the overseas campus placement for chartered accountants and accountants. So people who have completed the course and are members, they can be placed overseas. Those who were not able to complete and finished intermediate and are now not chartered accountants, but simply accountants and working in the accounting field, how they can be placed abroad. In 2019, when I was the vice chairman of this committee, we did a very successful overseas campus placement program. Of course, in 2020, owing to COVID, international flights were closed. People were not hiring, and therefore there was no opportunity to do a overseas campus placement. Though our domestic campus placement, let me place on record, has done phenomenally even in this COVID time. In fact, we have more vacancies available than the number of students who have qualified in this attempt. That is the demand industry has for chartered accountants. So, and I'm sure this year in 2021, as international borders open up, as international flights open up, the overseas campus placement will once again be organized and will be a great success and resounding for all our chartered accountants who are looking to go to global jurisdictions. They can participate, and for those who could not complete, they can take up opportunities as accountants. Other very important thing that we realized at the institute was that why restrict to these 5-6 countries that I'm mentioning? Why restrict us to South Africa, Africa, to US, to Canada, to UK, to Australia? Why not explore other opportunities? And in this regard, the institute noted that the biggest challenge and impediment was the foreign languages. If you want to practice in France, you cannot just know your IFRS, your ISA, but you also need to know French. Because if you are able to know French, only then can you write the financial statements which are written in French language. You need to know Italian. You need to know Japanese. You need to know Arabic if you want to work in the Middle East. And all these foreign language courses, now your institute has tied up with various embassies. I myself had the opportunity to go to 3 or 4 foreign embassies. We used their foreign language training, work government to government, that is to say ICI with these embassies or their empaneled agencies, and are providing foreign language courses for members and students. There are also short-term courses that we will build to make sure that local demands. So, you know company law, you know GST, but GST in Australia may be something very different. The VAT in UK is different. Sales tax in US is different. So short-term courses and modules are being developed to make sure that our members can easily equip themselves and understand the changes from the existing legal framework in India and how it is different in these jurisdictions. Those short-term courses are going to be done. And we will also be providing startup initiatives and incubation centers. So this proposal has been made with the government, and we are now in the process of implementing this. This will ensure that we are able to not only have these short-term courses and certificate courses, we now have a lot of content on our e-learning portal, that is the digital learning hub, for ensuring that our members can be equipped. Our student course curriculum, last year, that is in the last council year, early 2021 itself, we have done an international policy of the ICI, first time ever that the institute has an international affairs policy, and we have also come up with an international curriculum to attract foreign students to our course. We are increasing the working with government agencies to ensure that how our chartered accountants can get opportunities in foreign areas to the champion sector. And we are now very strongly working to promote the brand of Indian CAs. You'll be very happy and proud to know that the Ministry of External Affairs, for example, has given the ICI chapters the same standing as any trade body in those countries which is present from India. For example, a CIA office in New York will now be recognized in the same way as a chapter of ICI. So our chapters have been given formal recognition by MEA. So earlier, if you had to get some documents attested or apostilled in, let's say, the Chamber of Commerce of the CCI in India, CII in India, or FICCI of India, office in New York, you can now get that work done through our chapters because we have the same standing with them. And to promote our chartered accountancy profession, as convener of this digital learning hub for the past 2 years, and this year again under the leadership of Nihar Jambusaria ji and our Vice President Dr. Debashish Mitra ji, I am given for the third year this responsibility to head the digital learning hub. In the first year, one had created the DLH. Of course, I had no idea that the pandemic will strike. The idea was that how I am able to provide a platform, for example, for members who are in far-flung areas, in Mofussil areas to attend programs. They may not get the best faculties. So with that intention, we built the digital learning hub, and realizing that e-learning was going to be the future. This was, of course, a 5 to 10 year plan, but suddenly, thankfully, we were able to complete the project in 2019, early 2020. And when the COVID struck, the entire platform was ready, and therefore ICI was able to function even through the entire lockdown and pandemic phase. You will be surprised, more chartered accountants have done certificate courses in 2020 than previous 2 years combined. That has been enabled through the digital learning hub. We have more than 75 to 80,000 users who are completing their CP or obtaining CP through the DLH. That's a matter of great pride for me. And like I said, one did not expect to receive such great response from membership when this was conceptualized, designed, and then put in practice. But thanks to pandemic, like Chitles have mentioned in the beginning, there have been certain plus points that the pandemic has given us. The digital learning hub is one of the biggest advantages it has been able to extract out of this entire pandemic situation, and it has become the preferred source of learning. And now we are using this DLH, this DCMM 2.0 that I showed you, for example. This we are now promoting to other accounting bodies and telling them that you can use our content. If you want to learn IFRS, we have India's here. It is very similar to your IFRS. You can use it, and we are promoting them. We are giving them the licenses to DLH and ensuring that an MOU or MRA, that is a mutual recognition, can be given to our chartered accountants in these jurisdictions to increase the opportunity of our CAs in these countries. So that is regarding the champion service sector. I think Chitle sir also mentioned about the SEPC MOU. Yes, last year in 30th of June at Mumbai, my father is a vice chairman of the SEPC. So we got a good opportunity that we could use his good office to ensure that the MOU could be fructified. And now the ICI and the SEPC have entered into an MOU to ensure that how chartered accountants services can increase. So like I mentioned in the previous slide, we've done multiple initiatives in the champion sector. The chapters have been done. The digital learning hub is now tying up with foreign countries to get recognition of our course. And with this MOU on SEPC, we will be conducting huge programs in India and in foreign jurisdictions. That is to say, for example, if you have clients in automobiles, which is a huge industry in Pune, if you have clients in chemical, in other industries, they are participating in trade shows in foreign jurisdictions. If you ask any of your client who has a good export earning, who has good foreign exchange which is being earned on exports, they will tell you that they are getting new business, new clients by participating in trade fairs. Now with this MOU with SEPC, there will be huge trade fairs, not for these products, but specifically for accounting services, which will be organized by SEPC, and ICI will also participate in them. And we will try and ensure that, yes, all the members who want to give professional services to these jurisdictions, who want outsourcing services outside of these jurisdictions, that is to take services from these organizations, from these jurisdictions and provide it from India, or to provide inbound services to these countries, all of them can be done using this MOU of SEPC. We are going to execute. And one important advantage which is available to members who are exporting, and this was available till March 19. Now we are looking forward to the new EXIM policy, but in the earlier EXIM policy, for example, a CA firm is registered with SEPC and you have done 10 lakhs worth of, or let's say 1 crore worth of export services, then 7% of worth of that net foreign exchange that you have earned, net meaning inflow less outflow if there was any, that net foreign exchange 7%, the government was giving to you in the form of an incentive, which was in the form of a duty credit scrip, which you could use to, for example, if you had to import machines against custom duty, if you had to GST liability locally, you could use it against GST liability, or you could simply sell that script and earn cash. A huge benefit which is available. And therefore, I would urge, if any one of you is into the export of accounting services, please become a member of the SEPC, because not just these opportunities of these trade fairs that they will organize one can become, but also you can take benefit of the EXIM policy. So this is in terms of what the institute has done. The overseas campus, like I said, almost 6,000 people participated and multiple jobs were given. In terms of the foreign languages that we discussed, this was given by the government of India as a mandate, and the institute has taken this up. We now have not only the Spanish course, which is in fact one of the most popular courses which we are doing, because remember, Spanish is spoken not just in Spain, but in probably entire South America. Let's leave out Brazil, which speaks Portuguese, which is again similar, but Brazil has Portuguese, except that Argentina, Chile, and all major economies of South America use Spanish. We have a tie-up with the Goethe Institute of Max Muller to learn German. So Germany, if it's the market of choice, you can learn it there. Alliance Française, from which you can learn the French language. And we have a tie-up with the Japan Foundation to learn Japanese languages. So the institute is taking up all of these activities, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention that yes, it is not just you alone who is being thrown into the water and will have to look for opportunities. Various initiatives the ICI has taken, the champion sector, it is through the chapters that one has established, to the representative offices, to the international curriculum and the international affairs policy. It is through the technology upgradation and the technology programs that the institute is conducting. It is through the specific committee on export of services and trade in WTO, which is taking up various programs to teach you about various structures, organizations, and country-specific requirements. It is through the foreign language courses that the committee is conducting to ensure we can upgrade our skills. It is through overseas campus placements. So you may not just be looking for export of services or professional opportunities abroad by simply outsourcing, but if you want to migrate, that opportunity also the institute is providing. So all in all, these 8-10 initiatives of the ICI, and if you have any other suggestions, I'll be more than happy to take it and rebound it off the relevant committee at institute so that we can further enhance and amplify the efforts. But like I mentioned, the committees, the institute can only do a limited amount of work. Finally, we have to ensure that we take a dip into this ocean and are able to explore the opportunities that lie. Then it is important for us to understand what are the services statutorily that one can offer to foreign clients under the WTO regime. Again, very quickly, I'll take you through the list of services that you can provide. Well, you can do accounting outsourcing. What is accounting outsourcing? Some of you may ask. Well, you provide the entire end-to-end accounting services sitting in India. What does that mean? On a Friday evening, a restaurant in UK or US or Australia will simply scan all the invoices they have received in the week and send it to you. They have a weekend, they will relax. Restaurants probably are working over the weekend, but let's say it's a separate entity which is not related to restaurant. It is some engineering firm, accounting firm, or other type of firms that is there. They will simply scan all the invoices. The weekend will be off. We can start the work immediately, have the entire work ready on the weekend. Monday morning when he arrives in the office, all accounting entries are posted. You will have an invoice which will say, probably an Amazon invoice which says Dell computer. Immediately you are aware this is a purchase of capital item. I park it to fixed assets computers and then credit bank in your books of accounts. If you know the rate of depreciation, automatically start calculating the depreciation. If there is a month end, quarter end, or annual year, or you have to make sure the depreciation is correctly recorded. The entire accounting outsourcing happens. How does a file transfer happen? Well, when one started doing this, people used to use the FTP. So a file transfer protocol, typically all the files would be uploaded, scanned there, and then they would have to send it to you here through an FTP protocol, and you would download it and do the accounting work. Now, thanks to the pandemic situation, all organizations, or rather majority of them, have moved to the cloud. You will simply be given a username and password of their internal document management system. Your person will log in, take out all the invoices, and what is important, like I said, your accounting knowledge, your IFRS, your Indian accounting standard knowledge, your knowledge of basic accounting hygiene to ensure that capital expense goes to capital, revenue goes to revenue, it hits the right account head, refer to previous year where this expense went, and you post it in this account. That accounting outsourcing services can be given. I'm not saying that chartered accountants only do this. You can have BCom, MCom people who are assisting you and providing these services. That can be done in the form of accounting outsourcing. What is essential here is to know the tools, that is the accounting software that they are using at those locations. I will share a list of what are the most popular softwares, and also to have the zeal, and more importantly, to have the nature to be perfect and accurate. Very important characteristic. In India, there is this one word which we always use, chalta hai. अरे वो गलत हेड में चला गया था, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एक्सपेंस डाल दिया, ऑफिस एक्सपेंस था, ठीक है मैं चेंज कर देता हूँ, चलता है. No. In these countries, there is no chalta hai attitude. If the expense has to go to a particular head, it must only hit that particular head. Accounting hygiene is extremely important. Recording it correctly is very important. So one has to improve your own skill sets, not just know the tools, but also be very diligent in your work. And then the accounting outsourcing can happen. Advisory services. There is an internal audit going on there. They will send you all the data. You apply your mind. You have all the tools, their internal audit software to provide these data. Foreign companies are implementing IFRSs. US companies which are foreign investments, they have requirement of IFRS. They may not have the people who are able to prepare financial statements on IFRS. You and me as chartered accountants can assist them, knowing the Ind AS, to prepare financials in IFRS. Similarly, all other laws that are there which we are practicing on here, those can be provided to them. You can also provide international trade related services, outsource CFO service. Any organization, you have a lot of startups in Pune, and many of our young chartered accountants are already giving outsourced CFO service to these startups. These similar services can be given to foreign entities of outsourced CFO, and you manage the entire accounting, you manage all the compliances, and the person who is running the startup only focuses on the business, the MIS, the accounting, the compliances, the taxation aspect. All of it is looked by you and your team, and various other management consultancy services that I have listed. Of course, due to paucity of time, I will not read through it, but if required, I'll be more than happy to share this presentation with the Pune branch, and you can refer to it. All of these are various list of services that our chartered accountants can provide in this foreign jurisdiction. So then the question that Mayur ji has asked me, or Karuna ji has asked, what can you, or how do I make sure that I get my first assignment? What are the steps that you must take for a successful accounting outsourcing practice? And again, let me tell you, in life, there is no shortcut. If you want to become an advocate, it is not that from the day one you are going to be the top leading advocate of the country, and you will have people lining up outside your office to say, sir, please do my file, take my brief, and the Supreme Court will designate you as the senior advocate of Supreme Court. No, it takes a lot of years of hard work, a lot of toil. But once one is established, you have that first client, which becomes to two becomes four. The word spreads. Your own clients will become your marketing agents and tell others that, hey, look, I'm using this firm in Pune, which is doing fantastic work with my accounting. They are ensuring that the turnaround time is quick, the quality is excellent, and it's value for money. Please use them. And you will then start getting referral work. What are those steps that you must take? We will try and discuss that. Some very hard facts and truths also that I will share. Please excuse me for those harsh words or those comments, but I think very important for me to tell you what is essential for you to set up that kind of practice. So the first step, explore uncharted territory. And I have an image here of the globe which says, let's travel the world. I think you can win the world, but only after you take the first step outside your home. If you keep thinking that, yes, I will sit at home, I will probably make a good website, and the whole world will keep looking for me, that yes, I want this firm in Pune to do all my work. Very rarely or seldom does that happen. You have to go, be able to, willing to go at these countries, participate in various events, and be able to go to uncharted territory where people have not gone before. There are certain markets, for example, which are in certain saturation. So you go to New York City or you go to San Francisco, they will say, we already have somebody working for us in India. And believe me, there is no joy in taking somebody else's work and doing it, because you'll only be undercutting and spoiling the entire industry's fees level. Rather, try and expand and look for your own market. If you're looking at US, go to states where there is no outsourcing. Speak to CPAs there and tell them, how many people do you employ? He will say, I have 10 people working for me. What is the average salary that you pay? He'll probably say $75,000 a year. And then that is what? 50 lakh rupees. You can say, for 2 people's cost, I'll do the entire work of your 10 people. Nobody will probably believe you the first time. Try and invest with him. Tell him that, give me some work, try out my services. Look how I'm able to do this. And then when he trusts you, he is able to convince that, and you're able to show from your knowledge, B, quality of work, and C, diligence, that I have the capacity and the capability to do this work. He will then say, yes, I'm leaving these 10 people, let them go to better jobs. I want this entire work to be done by your firm. And let the final report come on my table, and I will do it. But if you are thinking that the world will come to you, sorry, there is no MEF, there is no empanelment where you can empanel yourself and the world will give you work. That doesn't happen. In fact, we must all feel blessed that in a country like India, we still have work which comes from empanelment, from RBI, from ICI, from the C&AG, the panel that ICI prepares. Other places, there is no such work. You have to go and get your own work. For you to use all the tools available within the code of ethics, within the advertisement guidelines of the ICI, and ensure that you are able to go to these countries, participate in events there, interact with the practitioners, interact with the industry which needs these services, convince them, and then get that work here. And what are the steps to it? Well, like I said, the first and foremost will be attend accounting conferences. And these conferences, it is very important that you go participate in accounting conferences across. There are firms I know which will always participate, for example, in the international conference of ICI. But when you're attending these international conference, don't just be in your comfort zone and be interacting with only the people that you have won. Don't even meet with the people from your cities. Try and see which are the people from international jurisdictions who have come, and then try and interact with them. Just hold on 1 second. I have to. Apologies, I had an important call to attend. So what we were discussing was the ways in which you can get these assignments. And like I said, the most easiest way is to attend accounting conferences. The international conference in India, try and see which international participants have participated, try and understand what is existing in their market. Not just conference here, you will have to venture out. There are various accounting conferences happening across the globe. Of course, due to COVID right now, it is restricted. But once one is looking at the post-COVID scenario, when the traveling is opened up, you can definitely focus on and try and aim for accountancy conferences that are happening in various other countries. Go there, try and participate in there. And I always say this, you're given that lanyard or that card that you wear on your neck. It is not just for you to feel proud that I'm a participant. See everyone's lanyard. Try and walk up to them and say, hey, you are from this firm. What is it that you do? How much accounting work do you have? How much can we work and help with you? That is going to bring huge amount of interaction, traction, and eventual work to your firms. And that is the source for getting international work. One has to change the attitude. And again, I said, I apologize, certain facts that I have to lay out for you. We have to learn newer concepts. PVT, LTD, LLP, sole proprietor partnership, very good. You know it, perfect. But that cannot work in other jurisdiction. You will have to unlearn some of your concept. I'll give you one common example, which I have myself personally experienced. It's a funny incident, but very important for one to understand at this juncture, or why you need to unlearn. I was working with a US accounting firm, and the first assignment that one gets, you cannot rely that somebody else will do the work. You yourself have to dig down dirty, make sure you are in the mud and doing the work assignment, because you want to give quality and build that trust. And then that organization will keep giving you more and more work. So in the first initial years, and this is 15 years ago when I was doing this work, there was a firm which gave us some work. And then on the discussion with the owner of the firm, I told him that, this is what the expenses were booked in repairs and maintenance. Actually, these were capital in nature. So I have shifted it to property, plant and equipment. At that time, we used to call it fixed asset in India, but you cannot say fixed asset because nobody in the world will understand that. Now, thankfully, even in India, we call it PPE. But back then, I had to say PPE. So I said, I've shifted it to property, plant, equipment. And there's a depreciation requirement. So far, he was very happy with the conversation. Yes, perfect. Yes, this expense, this is the invoice, this should have been booked as PPE. You've capitalized it, very good. And then I said, so I have passed the journal entry on depreciation. I hope everybody's following, right? I said, I have passed the entry on depreciation. Immediately, he was in shock. What? You have passed the entry? What have you done? And I got a shock. I was feeling, why is this kind of a reaction coming? It was a accounting entry, or मैंने accounting entry pass कर दी. Then I realized that in the US, when somebody, for example, comes and says, do you want a glass of water? People generally don't say no, they say I'll pass. So pass means मैंने जाने दिया, passing the parcel हम खेलते हैं ना. So when I said I have passed the entry of depreciation on this PPE, he was shocked that how can you pass and let it go? He said it is a material amount. Why did you pass on it? You should have recorded it. From that day, I made up my mind. I will never use the word pass an accounting entry. I said I'll record an entry. Very small example I'm giving you, but it's a very important aspect in a larger scheme of things, that you have to change your attitude of how we communicate with them. We have to learn, we have to unlearn the way we communicate and relearn their language, their way of doing things. हम वहां जाके बोलेंगे कि नहीं भैया, हमारे वहां इंडिया में तो ऐसे ही होता है. Nobody is interested in understanding India में कैसे होता है. How it happens in their jurisdiction is what you need to understand, relearn and implement. Invest. You cannot expect that पहला काम आएगा और फिर मैं बोलूंगा कि हाँ infrastructure build करूंगा. If you want, for example, to set up outsourcing service, you will have to make some basic investment in your computer systems to make sure they are up to date. Invest in security, network security, firewalls and other mechanism. Nobody will trust you with their data. SSN data, for example, social security numbers, extremely private and sensitive data for the Americans. They will never give it to you if you do not have a secure network and a secure firewall. Internet connection, like I said, is basic. Invest in the right kind of physical space also, which is appealing, ensuring that quality of output of work can be done. Any other business, my dear colleagues, that one would go into, you have to first invest in plant and machinery, invest in the raw materials, then conversion process happens, and only then do you get the finished goods. Similarly, if you want to excel in professional opportunities abroad, in export of services, there has to be some investment that one has to be willing to make, willing to part with, and ensure that you are able to build the right kind of infrastructure to provide these services. So investment attitude has to be brought in. We have to change our mindset कि काम आएगा और फिर हम करेंगे. If you are actually looking at developing this kind of work, you have to invest in the physical infrastructure. One common example I give is that of bandwidth. You can all see this diagram on the left, which we are all used to. Ookla ho, speed test ho, fast.com ho, we all try and test our internet. And when we are in office, we test our internet and we feel, 20 Mbps, excellent, 40 Mbps, superb. Very, very rarely do people actually look at two very important aspects, that is latency and upload speed. भैया ऑफिस का इंटरनेट यूट्यूब के वीडियो देखने को नहीं. If you want to download stuff, then you need download speed. If you want to watch videos, Amazon Prime, Netflix, what is that, Hotstar, if you want to watch all of that, very good, you will see your download speed. But if you want to do export of services, there are documents which go back and forth. And believe me, majority of us make the mistake. We use a internet service provider, the ISP, which provides us broadband internet. We are using the same internet at home, which we are using at office, which other person is using who is a small time retailer or trader. If you want to become a doctor, a successful surgeon, you have invest in the top class equipments. If you have experienced, if you go to world class hospital, they have world class diagnostic equipments. Everything is top of the notch. As professionals, हमारे पास तो limited चीजों में invest करना है. In that also we try and cut corners and try and use the cheapest internet. Please, I request with folded hands, even for domestic practice. A lot of people complain, website was not working, site was not working, return didn't get uploaded. Lot of times, leave alone GSTN, that is its own different story, we will not discuss that. But lot of times at 11 o'clock, people say, my income tax return file nahi ho raha. Whereas firms with good internet connection, with a leased line, LEASED, leased line, are far more convenienced than people who are using simple broadband connection. क्योंकि leased line में 1:1 latency, upload download भी same आता है. So our job is not for your staff to watch movies, download. What is more important is for you to be able to upload to the portal. Similarly, in this line of business, you need not just good download speed, but equal or better upload speed. So if you are making this mistake using a broadband connection, please ensure you have good bandwidth. Your data transfer both has to happen correctly. A commercial line has to be different from a residential line, and you need good upload speed for this. What is also required besides accounting packages, attending accounting conferences, investing, having good bandwidth, you need to learn the right kind of international accounting software. I saw in the Q&A, somebody asked me that yes, he knows QuickBooks and Xero, but these are not just the only tools that are available in the market. Here, for example, I've given you a list of all the accounting, not all, but major accounting packages that are there. Xero is there, Sage is there, NetSuite is there, Wave is there, FreshBooks is there. These are all tools which are there. Unless you learn and master them, you will never be able to pitch to the countries that you are able to do accounting in the right manner. Similarly, for audit, there are various different tools. Confirmation.com, which is now in India, Caseware, Audit File, Inflow. These are all tools in the market. For filing tax returns, there are various different portals which you need to know. So if you want to do tax outsourcing services, you need to be able to use these cloud-based tools. For BI, for finance, all these technology ecosystem exists. One has to expertise and specialize on it if you want to truly excel and provide outsourcing services. The need for technology has been extremely emphasized in the post-pandemic era. We have all realized that when you could work from home, when virtual conferences and VCs have become the need of the day, we are all using Zoom, Google Hangouts, and other different technologies to communicate. In fact, even our parents, our grandparents are using, for some of you grandparents will also be using technology to discuss with the family. When technology has become so prevalent, we cannot be left behind. We have to understand that now there are no geographical restrictions. The costs of physical transfer are far more, and therefore work from home has become extremely critical. You can also efficiently track and schedule work if you have technology implemented. I showed you some tools which the institute has given. You can share data. All of this is available. Other ways to digitize your office, I've just mentioned some ways in which you can digitize and truly make your firm, the firm, relevant in this decade of 2021. Some tools, some offices, tool available to you, have the right website, have emails, make sure you're using and attending webinars. You have the task tracking, that is a timesheet recording mechanism, attendance, billing, all of this can be made online. And therefore, we will now very quickly, as we're running out of time and I'm supposed to conclude by 6:30, understand the outsourcing requirement. I told you, you have to invest, you have to attend outsourcing and accounting conferences to ensure you are able to get the work from there, meet with these people, have the right infrastructure in terms of IT, have the right IT speed, have the right IT security tools, know the right softwares in accounting, in tax, in auditing, to ensure that you are able to showcase your this. And besides this, there are WTO agreements which are important for chartered accountants, huge opportunities even in the WTO era. Now in the changing world, what is going to improve, what is going to be important are complex services, advisory services, SOC services. So let's try and improve our skills in big data and technology. Data entry and simple compliances are being used by technology and therefore are facing the challenges. In WTO area, chartered accountants, because I'm talking about export of services, we discussed about the entire mechanism of how you can go to these locations, either in full-time employment or in practice, how you can get work in terms of outsourcing. We have discussed about all of those areas. Other important area of international practice of export of services is in the WTO regime. We can consult and draft your clients, foreign clients in this area, in anti-dumping investigations, in procedural aspects of safeguards, customs and valuation, and other parts. And these are all the other opportunities that are available in the WTO regime, which I have listed in front of you. So finally, like I said, we all have to realize that the practice in this area of international trade laws, WTO, or even accounting outsourcing, or foreign, going to the foreign jurisdictions and working there, either in employment or in practice, is specialized. It's dynamic because it keeps changing. The technology tools keep changing. There are challenges. There is demanding because the time difference, for example, if you have a team working for the US, we'll have to work through the midnight. If you have certain team working in Australia, you will have to start very early in the morning to match up to their days, and therefore very demanding. But one thing that you must always remember is that the basic principles are universal. A debit in US is the same debit in UK, in the South Africa, in South America, in India, in Dubai, in Australia. So that accounting principles, if you are strong, you are able to leverage on that and make use of the maximum opportunities. Networking possibility are going to be opened up. The institute has recently approved revised guidelines on networking that is existing, on networking as a lead firm, and there is a new concept of alliance which the institute is going to come up with. This has been approved by the council, and I would request the branch that at one point Sachinji can then and the entire team at Pune can keep a session specifically on these revised networking guidelines, which will help our members to get work not just internationally, but also build a good network domestically. With these words, I once again thank the entire Pune branch, Sachinji in particular, Chitle sir, the chairman and the entire team for inviting me. I hope in the limited time that I was given, I was able to do justice to the topic of export of services, how we can tap professional opportunities abroad. Once again, thank all of you for the wonderful participation. I had an eye out for the participants, and my salute to all of you. Throughout the session, not one soul has moved. We have almost the same participation from start to end, and I think that speaks very highly of Pune branches, members, and more importantly, how well your managing committee is working. No doubt it is the best branch in the country. My compliments and congratulations to all of you. And thank you all for very patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Talati. So I would just like to go through the questions that have been uploaded by the viewers in the Q&A. Pratik had asked about like what about opportunities in international taxation? I think you discussed about international taxation, but if you can once again brief in few minutes, it would be better, sir.
So yes, because the reason I did not cover it, Pratik ji, in terms of the international taxation is because it's a very diverse topic. Taxation in India we can master. The today's topic was export of services. So this was typically designed at A, maybe going to foreign jurisdictions and providing services. B, residing in India but providing jurisdiction to foreign companies, foreign countries, foreign CPA firms, outsourcing and other kind of work. C, migrating there either for employment, gainful employment, or for your practice purposes. So that is where the largely the focus was, or consulting people coming into international taxation. Typically we deal with our own clients who have international transactions. um, if you want to consult foreign firms on international transaction, it's a very difficult sphere because tax laws are very different. Accounting knowledge, audit knowledge, technology knowledge is largely same across the world. Taxation structures are very different, and therefore I don't think it's the right opportunity to discuss today. The next question is from Karuna Bajajji. Need to understand providing accounting and taxation services in Australia and New Zealand. How different are the standards and legal structures? And there are prohibitions. Well, let me tell you that accounting, in fact, is very, very similar to how we would do it. You can also provide taxation services. It can be sales tax returns or it can be income tax returns. You only probably need to attend a few seminars to gain knowledge on them. It's not a very complicated tax system, but I would suggest to you that start with the accounting first because it's easier. In both of these countries, the tool Zero is far more prevalent than, let's say, QuickBooks or Zoho. Only reason I'm mentioning again these names are because this is what is famous and used there. I'm nowhere endorsing any product or asking you to learn anything in particular. Not my job as a counselor to do it, but yes, I would like to share that in these two countries, Zero is very prevalent. So try and learn and adapt to it. Mayurji, I hope your question was earlier at 6 p.m. I've taken through the various steps that you can do to get your first assignment on accounting services. We've discussed in detail about them. For the slides that people want, I will be happy to share it with Sachinji and the branch, and you can happily refer to any of the pages that you want.
Thank you, sir. It would be great if you can really share the presentation.
And the final question, Sachinji, is from Karunaji. Again, is on a very important question, whether we have a one-stop solution. Only recently, the Committee for Export of Services has come out with a beautiful presentation where all these jurisdictions have been discussed. What are the structures, basics? Of course, nobody can go, totally in depth, but at a 35,000 feet level, different structures, different opportunities, different legal entities that are there in countries. Institute's own publication has come out. You can go on the CDS portal and download it, or I will be happy to share it in soft copy if available with the branch, and they can further forward it to all the participants.
Thank you, Talati sir. Indeed, it was really great to have you, or rather, hear you for almost 1.5 hours. And as you rightly said during your presentation, that we need to attend such kind of seminars again and again, again and again to get more and more detailed knowledge. As you rightly spoken about that 35,000 height view, because obviously many times as a participant we expect that yes we should get lot many details from one session itself, but practically that's not possible, and I do agree with you that yes we need to attend again and again to get more depth. But I on behalf of all the participants thank you for really sparing your time and taking us through various initiatives taken by the institute, the champion services being promoted by government, the services that we can provide to foreign clients, and really one of the part which I really liked was the way you explained the difference in terminologies that are being used in different countries with your example of passing of that depreciation entry. It was a very subtle way of explaining how really terminologies can make a lot of difference in the way we communicate with each another. So thanks a lot once again for sparing this time, and participants Tomorrow we will be having our next session, which is on importance of insolvency by CA Dinesh Mundra. Thanks all the participants for really being patient and raising queries as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Sachinji, and thank you to all the participants once again. Thank you.